Get the keys to the kingdom. Get the keys to the kingdom.
All right, shalom.
Shalom.
We are tonight coming with a sort of like a special Bible study slash current event study in order to help Israel worldwide. It's been, to say the least, it's been a very hectic week or two, and I've been getting phone calls, emails, and besides, having personal conversations with people concerning the persecution and the seemingly outright on purpose attack. I shouldn't say seemingly, because it's not seemingly. Let me say that again. People are concerned about Hebrews being executed by those who they believe are sworn to protect them. And it's very unfortunate that we don't understand certain principles that's at work in this country of the United States of America. One of the problems I believe that we're having here amongst our people is the fact that Hebrews, for some strange reason, always seem to forget that they were brought over here as slaves. Slaves were not considered to be here in the United States. They were not considered to be human beings. They were 3/4 human, or 5/8 human,
3/5.
or 3/5 human. Whatever it was, you was an animal. And I brought out this point earlier, and I've been, of course, people have been like, okay, we need to hear from the Moreh. What has he got to say about this? And I put up a couple of videos from our Shabbat class and some other things, and the views on those are just going through the roof. Like I posted one called the Declaration of Dependence for our people. We need to depend on Yah in these last days. And within a couple of hours, I had over 100-something views. I'm talking about from the time it posted to the time I just went back and looked, and it was already over 100-something views. And the other videos have taken off over 200 or 300 views. And so we're talking about in the last 2 days. So everybody, or a lot of people who are conscious, are wanting to know, like, is there a word from Yah concerning our situation? And what is that word, and how should we respond, and what should we be doing? And let me kind of just let you know tonight. But first of all, let me just salute everybody worldwide that's watching, 59 different countries, tuning in to our Bible studies and our sermons and things. So if you're watching this video, of course, I want you to know shalom, shalom to you. This is to help the children of Israel and the family of Israel worldwide wake up to the truth of what's going down. I also want to always welcome those who actually come in the room on this Tuesday night as we study the Word together. It is always a blessing to have a small group. So, of course, the incidents that happened over the weekend, it's not like it gave me months to put together a video and a lesson on it. I mean, it just happened. And so therefore, those of you who are here in the room, we're going to be putting it together. And those of you who are watching worldwide, I pray that as the Ruach moves in this room, that you'll be blessed by the information that's going to go forward. Now, let me get back to what I was saying. One of the things that the Hebrew Israelite has totally forgotten is that I'm talking as a people group now, was not brought over here, or put like this, did not choose to come here to find a better life. That cannot be under-emphasized, or cannot be overemphasized. It can't be said enough to our people that we are not like any other group of people in America who sought to find a better life. So we either crossed the border, migrated, got on a ship, and snuck on board, and and just blended in with. No, that's not what happened. With the Hebrew, they came to where we were at the time, the majority of us, after having left the Holy Land in 70 AD because of fulfilled prophecy that if we didn't turn from our wicked ways, that Yah would get us up out of the land and we would return into Egypt again, which is where we are. There is an answer for why we were here. It's because we denied our very own Hamashiach. The book of Matthew, the book of Luke, all tell us, I think even in John, tells us the account of the crucifixion of the Hamashiach by the hands of the Romans, which is no different than the Italians today, who at that time was ruling the world. And our Hamashiach came to redeem us, and we rejected him. And therefore, they were turned over to the Roman government, or Yah allowed Yeshua to be turned over to the Roman government, and the powers that be, and I'll have this verse up for you in a moment, or I'll put it up later. The powers that be said we want him dead. Y'all remember that? And even that dirty dog Pilate, who was a corrupt person himself, said, what evil has he done? And they said, if he was not a criminal and had not done evil, they said we would have never turned him over. And they said, if you let him go, you're not a friend of Caesar, which meant you're not on Caesar's side, which meant death for him. Put him in a situation. And he said, I'm innocent of this man's blood. And they said, then let his blood be on us. Now watch this. Now don't you miss this. And on our children.
Right.
So if you want to know the results of having the blood of the Messiah, which is the penalty for, is what they're saying. If this is wrong, let the penalty be exercised in our lifetime, but also let our descendants suffer the consequence for what we've done. And that is exactly what is going on. They had to suffer the consequence in 70 AD when Jerusalem was sacked to the ground by the Italian band, the Roman army, who sacked Jerusalem, not leaving one stone left on top of another. And the Hebrew Israelites, primarily from the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, who had accepted the Hamashiach, listened to his warning that Jerusalem would be destroyed, and they began to leave the area before it happened.
Before the Romans arrived.
Before the Romans actually got there.
Right.
And therefore, the majority of those of our ancestors who survived were messianic. Do y'all understand that? Mm-hmm. The majority of the people who were persecuted ended up leaving Jerusalem by word from the Most High, from our Hamashiach to leave. They were primarily messianic, and that's one of the reasons that they would not bow down to Caesar.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because they had already pledged allegiance to Yahushua. And so they were scattered. And so when you listen to, they had already started scattering, and some were already scattered. Matter of fact, some of the actual letters in your Holy Bible is written to this group of people. Mm-hmm. who have been scattered amongst the. But when 70 AD came, a lot of them had already gone. And I've already done several videos about how we ended up in West Africa, Sub-Sahara, because not only did we get pushed out of Africa, out of the Holy Land and down into Africa, North Africa, but eventually, when the Roman Empire was in power, they owned all of that region around the Mediterranean. So it wasn't just that; it's just not just Rome. And of course, their jurisdiction went all the way to the Sub-Sahara, to Sahara. So to get away from that, they ended up migrating Sub-Sahara, and a lot of them ended up in Nigeria, and we can trace that. But here's my point. Here's my point. While in Nigeria and in other areas in Africa, we didn't come together and say, hey, we heard of this great new land. Let's go over there and get a new way of life and start over again so we can be great. No. We were hunted like animals and captured like wild dogs, or like zoo animals, if you please. And we were sold by the millions from the native Hamites into, watch this, slavery, but into Egypt again. And I'm going to show it to you tonight. That's where I'm going to go with our lesson.
And don't forget the Arabs.
Right, they started it on the yeah. But they were the middlemen. It's a good point. But what I want to show you is we didn't come to this country looking for a better life. Everybody else did, but not us. Our arrival here was by force. And from the time we set foot here until this very day, we have only been looked at as either slaves or sons of freed slaves. We have never been acknowledged as the true children of Yisrael, from the tribe of Yehuda, or from the tribe of Benjamin, or from the tribe of Levi, or any other tribe for that matter. And that's not to say, and I want to make this very clear, that's not to say that there's not 12 tribes scattered all over the world that look every different kind of color, height, weight, and all that. That's not my point. My point is that the information that we were those people was hidden from us. All right. So what I want to do is I want to show you some things, and then we'll look at some parallels, and hopefully before the lesson's over tonight, we will have helped the children of Israel worldwide understand and put into perspective what's going on to us right now. All right, I want to begin this lesson dealing with the book Shemot, or we Hallel Shemot, which is the word, these are the names of, and I want you to know that this is actually the name for Exodus. The name for the book of Exodus is not the Greek word Exodus, or the English word Exodus. The actual name for this book begins by saying, these are the names of. That's the name of the book. These are the names. In other words, it's very important for the writer of this book, now y'all watch this, to identify Yisrael. You get it? He starts off the book saying, now these are the names. Why? Because he wants his people to be identified. This phrase, I've told you all this before, the Bible builds on itself. That's what it does. This phrase, these are the names, is not original. Okay. This word is not original with Exodus. But this phrase, actually, these are the names,
is taken directly from the book of Genesis. So let's go there. Genesis chapter 46, verse 8. Genesis 46, verse 8. Let's go there. And I've got it on the board. And hopefully those who watch the video, if they're not by a Bible handy, they can just follow along on the video. All right. Now, do you see Genesis 46, verse 8?
Yes.
Now look at this phrase. And these are the names of the children of Israel. You see that? Now, go to Exodus or Shalom and look at verse 1. What does it say?
These are the names of the children of Israel.
Word for word. Do you see, Zion, how they always try to, man, we got a book Bible in here.
No, it's just the way I distinctly went back to get just that.
That's all right, here you go. So, what I want to show you here is, to Yah, the names of his people is what's important here. He wants you to know who they are in the book of Genesis as they get ready to go into Egypt. And he wants you to know their identification when they come out of Egypt. All right, so you got this phrase that is repeated. So go back, so that's the name of the book. The name of the book is really literally, these are the names of. Because identification is important. But I want to look at Exodus and I want to honor my ancestors for a moment and just read these names. It's not going to take long. Genesis chapter 46, verse 8. And these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Jacob, his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn. So, of course, who was the patriarch's firstborn? The first tribe was Reuben. And the sons of Reuben. So we get the names of his sons right here. These are the people who went in. And it's good to know, because if you meet some of these over that once we make it to the land of promise, I don't want y'all walking around talking about, what's your name again? Who are you? He's like, man, I'm your forefather. My name been in the book all this time. You ain't never even read it. So let's read it. All right. Hanak and Phalu and Hezron and Carmi. Do you see this? Mm-hmm. That's interesting, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Does these names sound European?
No.
Hezron.
These names are tribal. They are Hebrew. Because the Hebrew people are tribal Hebrew people. And they have Hebrew names. Matter of fact, I've got this I want to show you. I told you it was chapter 46. All right. And verse 8. All right. So you have, here's their names. You got Reuben. And then you see, I'm using the interlinear now so that you can see these names. So, Hanok. Hanok is the first one. Upalu and Palau. Where Hezron. Okay, the way, of course, is An. So, way. Carmi. And then it says, and the sons of Shimon. You see his name, Shimon? This is not English. This is not England. This is not Greek. Yamuel. And Yamin. and
Amen.
Ohad.
Amen.
Don't these names, don't they sound ethnic? Don't they sound Hebrew?
Yeah.
Don't they sound like they're from Africa?
Yep.
They
From the
don't-
continent?
They don't sound like they from Africa. They sound Hebrew.
Well, okay. She said Middle East, but okay. I'm not gonna make that argument, but I'm under the impression that the Middle East is a part of Africa.
Yeah.
Just like
that's
Egypt, Morocco, Libya, I believe all that, because it wasn't separated back in the day. It was one huge landmass. You know what they call it now? Asia.
Right. Right. Oh, they're
Middle
calling
East.
that.
Middle East, right?
So they call it Asia. So I mean, we could get into that,
I
but
get what you're saying.
yeah.
I understand.
But I want you to hear what they sound like in Hebrew.
Right.
All right. So you have Yakin, Zohar, Jaul, and notice that these fellas were actually born. These were the sons of Shimon, right? Of a Canaanitish woman. Do you see that? Which means from the very beginning of the tribes of Israel, Hebrew Israelites were mixing with Canaanites.
That's true.
So these children are half Canaanite and half Hebrew. Their mama was a Canaanite. So can you see how some features of the African, of the Hamite, I'll put it like that instead of using the landmass. Can you see how now Hamitic features as well as Semitic features will be found in the children of Israel? Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you marry a Hamite and you're a Shemite, then your child is going to look like a Shemite and a Hamite. It's going to be a mixture. All right? And then here are the sons of Levi, whose real name is Lawi. Lawi. We say Levi, but there was no, the V is not there. You see, it's a Vav. When I put that here. So you have Lamed, Vav, Yod. So you get in the, and we know that the original Vav is a Wa sound. So his name was Lawi. Lawi. It's right there. Not interesting. When we say Levi, because it sounds more European. That's what the problem is. All right, here's his name. Here's his sons. We have Gershon or Gershon, and we have Kwahath, because you have a kof there. And yeah. And then you have Moreh, and then you have you have the you bene. That's the sons. That word just represents the sons. Remember, ben is the word for son.
Right.
So you bene and the sons of Yahudah. You see the emphasis is here, Yahudah. And then you had one son named and then we had a son named Onan. Or Owanan, or Owanan, Ohanan. I don't know how you pronounce that exactly. Then you have, of course, Shelah, Perez. You know the Wa, I've already told you, is An. So when it says Wa Perez, it's just Perez. And then Zerah, and here is Yamat, and then it says, but died. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. When you get to here, you have Yamat, and that word means but died. Who died? So we need to know our history here. 2 of Judah's children died.
Right.
They were both married to Tamar.
Right.
And they both did evil in the sight of Yah. And Yah pretty much killed them.
Right.
Now, it tells us in the very beginning, this is Exodus chapter, this is Genesis. Before we even got our holy law, Torah, written, complete, in tablet form, there was obviously law established,
Right.
because you could do evil and Yah kill you.
Right. That's right.
So in our history, we have recorded that two, it would be, for us, it would be our uncles. They died. And they died in the land of Canaan. And then here were the sons of Perez. And I'll keep going. So you see, I know a lot of people don't know the Hebrew alphabet, but that's all right. That's not really a big deal at this point. We're going to continue to learn it. But we don't have to actually read this English translation once we learn the Hebrew letters and their sounds. Okay? But for now, this is a good way to do it using interlinear Bible. So you have Herzan, and you've got Hamul. Remember, this letter wouldn't be here. The name would start here. So you would have, Hamul, because you have the het and the mem and the vav and the lamed. All right, and then you have the sons of, watch this, Yisachar. It's one of our 12 tribes. And of course, let's give them honor. So his name was Tola and Pua and Yob. You see that?
Yeah, there's no J.
Right.
No
But you can see it. It's as plain as day in Hebrew. We don't have to look at the the vav. All that gives us the wa sound. We just can go to the next one because that is going to represent and. But you see Yoab.
It's all the way on the
Oh,
left.
yeah.
Where
On
is it?
top left.
Oh yeah, right here. So we don't actually need to, if you take off the wa, which is wah, but we just looking at the word. This is his name, Yoab. But they say Job. And then Shimron. And then we get the sons of Zebulun. That actually came out pretty correct, Zebulun. But you notice you don't hear much about Zebulun. But anyway, but Yubeneh, the sons of Zebulun, Sharid, Elon. Remember, where Elon? Again, you have to see that, but you can see it right here. Elon, Aleph, Lamed, Wa, Nun, final Nun. And then Yahil, and these are the sons of Leah. And of course, whom she bore to Jacob. And tells you where in Padoram, together with Dinah, his daughter, and all the souls of his sons and his daughters were 30 and 3. And the sons of Gad, Zipyon. What a name, huh? Haggai, Suni, Isbon, Eri. Do y'all hear these? I'm trying to get these names in you, in your psyche, in your soul, so you can hear what these Hebrew, our ancestors, they wasn't named Bob and Sally and Sue and Johnny, and they weren't named
Timmy.
Edith. And these people were very ethnic with very strong ethnic names. And I'm just emphasizing that because actually when I get to where I'm going, you'll understand what I mean. All right? Here we go.
Thank you, yeah.
And Arad and Ariel, and these are the sons of Ashur.
Right.
You have Yimna. Yimna is his name. And Yeshua. And Yeshui. And Berea. And Shirah. And Hotam. which is this their sister, with is Shirah. And then it and the sons of Bernai, Eber, and Michael, and these are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah his daughter, and she bore these sons to Jacob. 6 and 10 souls, and the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, and of Joseph, and then it says, and of Benjamin, was Joseph. Okay, so that's very important. Which is, his name was what? Yosef. Is his real name. Yosef. And then, of course, Benjamin, which is Benjamin. That was the baby boy, Benjamin. It already starts to make you feel something, don't it? We ain't even got to the lesson yet.
Because we kind of speak like that.
Huh?
We kind of speak like that, you know. You hear people kind of talking slang in these words. Like,
There's still traces of it left in us.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still traces left in us, man. You're right about that. 100% right. All right, let's keep going. And Yosef was in the land of Mizraim. Now, Mizraim is translated in English, in our English Bible, as what?
Egypt.
But in the Hebrew,
Bondage.
it would be Mizraim. Do y'all understand that? That Egypt wasn't called Egypt.
Yeah.
In the scriptures, it was called Mizraim. But later it became known as Egypt, and everywhere Mizraim is in the Holy Manuscript, we use the word Egypt. Well, I should say everywhere, because they do actually, 1 or 2 places, it'll say Mizraim. But the majority of the time, you see the word Egypt in your manuscript, the actual Hebrew word behind it, it's Mizraim. And Mizraim was a son of Ham. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you that right now. Actually, I wanted to bring that out. So, Mizraim is a proper name of a territory and people. It's feminine, masculine, and we'll go to that, but here it is, Mizraim. Short definition of it is Egypt, which it is an uncertain derivation. A son of Ham. That's all I wanted you to really see. Is that Mizraim is not a son of Shem,
Yeah, right.
nor is Mizraim a son of Japheth. So if Japheth's kids are running Mizraim, you know, or running Egypt, you know that Egypt then is being ran by a different group of people that originally ran Egypt. Because it was under Hamite control.
Yes.
It might be under people's control now that can trace their lineage to Japheth and say we're Japhetic. Or they can, some of them might even be able to trace their lineage to Shem and say they're Shemitic. But in the beginning, Mitzrayim was Hamitic, which means it was what we would call today, and it's kind of, we shouldn't really use this term, but we would say this was an African people. These were Hamites. But African is a landmass, and on that landmass, you had more than just Hamites. You had Hamites and Shemites. You didn't have a whole lot of Japhites because they moved and went north. But that's not the lesson for today. Just wanted you to see that. So, we know that Joseph married an Egyptian or a woman from Mitzrayim. Joseph married a Hamite. And he has 2 sons.
Right.
And the name of the sons are right here. Manasseh and Ephraim.
Which is it? Oh,
You see it?
Mizraim. Okay.
Right. So you got, good, you picked that up. So their names mean you have made me forget all of my labor or all of my toil. Because oh my goodness. Because Mizraim represents land of bondage and toil. I mean, the word actually becomes known as a place of bondage, a house of bondage. All right, so Ephraim and Manasseh, when you put their names together, it means they have enabled me to like forget my toils. He actually names them in the Bible, so it's not something that we have to.
By the way, all the rest of the names mean something too. But I noticed they didn't put it up there, right?
Okay, so here is where it is found. It says he called his name Ephraim, and then he gives the verse here, and it'll tell you. He said because for Yah, let's just look it up. It's not going to take but a second.
Well,
And the name of the second son he called Ephraim because he said, for Yah has caused me to be fruitful
right.
in the land of what? My affliction.
Still.
So we know then that Mizraim became known to us as the land of affliction.
Yes.
So, all right. So, you can see that. Now, that took a lot of time. Let me see here. And I'll just finish these up. Okay, then we have, let me see. Then of Benjamin, or Benamin, we have Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gerah, Naaman. We would say name it in English, but Naaman. Ehi, Rosh, Mapim, Hupim. All right. And these are the sons of Rachel, whom was born to Jacob, or to Jacob. And all of the souls were 10 and 4. Let's see. 4 and 10. Yes. Okay, and then you get these names. Here's Dan and the sons, Hashem, and then of Naphtali, Yahizel, and Gune, or Guni, and Yasher, and Shalom. And these are the sons of Bilhah, whom whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter, and she bore these to Jacob, or to Jacob, and they are the 7 souls in all. And they came, 70. Where's that at? 7 souls.
7.
No, okay, here's the word. This is what I'm trying to get to. Now, we're 60 and 6 souls. So you get 66 plus the 7 up here that I just saw. I'm trying to do this with the interlinear. And you're going to end up with 70 in all. Yeah, there it is. So you can see the word right there. So you ended up with 70 people who were free moving into Egypt because of Yosef having at that time saved the world from a famine. And they enter into Egypt as welcome guests. That's how they got there. As a matter of fact,
Joseph went in as a slave.
yeah, Joseph went in as a matter of fact, Joseph got there sold as a slave by his own what?
Brothers.
And who bought him?
The Ishmaelites.
Ishmaelites, which was his
Cousins.
cousin.
Was it cousins?
The Ishmaelites, remember Ishmael and Isaac are brothers. The Ishmaelites are already part Egyptian. Isn't that crazy too? So the Ishmaelites are Hebrew and Hamite. Or I should say they're Shemite and Hamite mixed already.
Do they have some Canaanite? Because Ishmael married 2 Canaanite.
And Ishmael mixed in with the Canaanites. So you can see that this was this sellout thing. And so Yosef goes into Mizraim a slave.
Right.
And then as a slave under Pharaoh, he interprets a dream. saves the nation. His family is then invited and given Goshen, and they are in Goshen. Now, that was really a long introduction because I really wanted to just give honor to our forefathers who ended up in Mizraim, that we know who they are. They went in a group of people. They have names. We knew who their daddies were, who their moms were, how they married, if they were mixed with the Canaanite, if they're mixed with Egyptian. That is actually recorded in our holy manuscript. So we know that brown people, dark people, we know by history they were Afro-Asiatic, which means we know they were from, well, we're going to use the actual common terms, they were from West Asia, or what you would call East Asia or West Africa. It's, I said exactly opposite. They're either East African or West Asian. Either way you want to draw that line, that's where they're from, and those are their names. Okay. When we get to Exodus, this is 430 plus years later. And the very first thing Yah does when he opens the second book is tell us their names again. These are their names. In other words, it's important that their names are reestablished in this book so that the tribes can be reestablished and identified as the children of Israel, who in the Genesis account was who? Jacob. We just read it. And now we see that the same thing it's the same line in Genesis chapter 46, in Exodus chapter 1. Same line. Now these are the names of Israel, who came to Egypt.
That's true.
Everybody's not Israel. Everybody can't claim Israel. You got to be one of these to have a bloodline connection with Israel. Come on now, it's right in the Bible. This is Israel. When we find out who Israel is as a nation, we're going to discover they're going to be pretty much raised as a slave. It's really crazy. Reuben came with his household, every man. Let's see, we had Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, or Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, and then he mentions here, and 70 souls all together. Right? Exactly what we just read in Genesis. He says, now here's the kicker. He says, and Joseph died.
Right. And everything went south.
See, when you read those names, there's only 11 because Joseph was already in Egypt. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the 11 brothers when Joseph was already there, and then Joseph died. And of course, we already know his papa died, but eventually, not only did Joseph die, all the brothers died. So Reuben died, Simeon died, Levi died, Judah died, Yehuda died, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Everybody died. Eventually, they got old and died in Egypt. And that whole generation, all 70 of those people passed on. Y'all get that? They all died. So the first 70 that went in, well, I shouldn't say free, because Joseph went in as a slave, but they went in working because of Joseph. But regardless, they all died. But their death didn't stop the growth of the Hebrews. As a matter of fact, it says they were fruitful. Man, they started having so many babies that even the manuscript said they increased abundantly. They was having 10, 12, 16, 20 kids. So much so they multiplied and became, here's another word, mighty. That word, let's look that up in the Hebrew because I want you to see. The short definition is the idea of having of bones. And the bone is the skeleton. Bones are the skeleton like the tree. It's like the branches of the tree that holds everything together. He says, these people were strong. Now, without getting too deep, I know people are going to write me a bunch of letters, but the truth of the matter is, children of Israel are strong people. When I say strong, I'm talking about being able to build a city strong.
Endure a lot.
I'm talking about can work from the sun up to sundown strong. Not what you see today, how it's all wimpy today. You get, can you go get a drink of water? Can you go get me some water? Say, you can't get your own water? Come on, you just go get me some. That has not always been our people. We ain't always kicked back on the couch playing video games and drinking red Kool-Aid and smoking blunts. That has not been our picture. We were always known as a strong people. That's why they put us in, when got us and put us in slavery. You don't go after a weak people to build a nation. I'm always having this conversation with people where they want to say that it was the American slavery that made us strong. That's why Jimmy the Greek got kicked out when he mentioned the twitch muscles. This muscle makes this muscle, and it wasn't because of slavery and the breeding and the mixing that happened in this. Let me tell you the truth. The truth is we've been a strong people from the very beginning. It's in the Bible. That's why everywhere we go as slaves, we improve the nation. Because we're strong by nature. Right. We're just a strong people. Whew. So you got a bunch of babies, and back in the day, all these kids were super strong and super multiplying. So much so that the land was filled. It was Hebrews, Israelites, everywhere. But the Bible said the land was filled with them. Everywhere you look, there go another Hebrew, there's another Hebrew, there's another Hebrew, there's another Hebrew. Now, there arose a new Melech. You see that word? Which we know as leader or king. I don't have to show it to you. I think you know that already. And he became the leader of Mizraim. And based on the text, he didn't know Yada. He didn't know who Yosef. Which is to say, he took over without knowing that Yosef was the one who actually saved Mitzrayim from collapsing in the first place. Right. In other words, he didn't know history.
That sounds familiar.
He took over without knowing any history. So as soon as he walks into office, the first thing he sees is, who's all these Hebrews? What are you guys doing here, letting these guys just grow and multiply like this? Can't you see how big they are? Can't you see how fast they can run? How high they can jump? How far they can throw a rock? How straight they can shoot an arrow? How much they can take on their shoulders? And they're multiplying. We can't stop it. It seemed like every time two of them look at each other, somebody pregnant. And they get they're filling up the land is what's going on. Because Yah had made a promise to Abraham Matter of fact, I'm going to bring that up right now. The Most High had made a promise to Abraham concerning our condition in Mitzrayim. Genesis chapter 17, verse 2. Let's go there. Very important. Genesis 17. Because we want to see that even the slavery of Egypt was not an accident. It did not catch the Most High off guard. And that's good to know too, so that when we look at what our captivity here in this country, we won't think that it caught the Most High off guard. Genesis chapter, which the name of Genesis is Bereshit.
Bereshit.
Chapter 17. I'll start at verse 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahuwah appeared unto Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty El. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. Do you see that? All right. Look at verse. And Abraham fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of what? Many nations. Okay. So, we go back to Exodus. As I said tonight, we just kind of walking through these verses because I just want to show you something. You go back to Exodus and you see that exactly what he said happened. They became many, they multiplied, they became great. And later on he'll tell them that they're going to sojourn in the land of Mitzrayim, or in the land of bondage. All right, this is what he said. Exodus or Shemot, chapter 1.
I was outside, but didn't he say he was mightier than they were mightier than we?
Yes, I'm going there right now. Verse number 9 says, and he said, okay, who said?
The Pharaoh.
Right? That didn't know who?
Joseph.
He didn't know Joseph. He didn't know the history. And that word Yadah also means he didn't give praise to Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't honor Joseph.
Right.
He didn't raise his hands and, but yeah, that dude was great. No, he's like, no. Okay? So watch this. Verse 9. And then we're going to open this up to discussion in a second. Verse 9. And, come on.
He said,
And who said? And Pharaoh said to who?
unto his people.
No, wait, unto the Hebrews.
No, his people.
No,
Pharaoh's
no,
people.
unto the Chinese, unto the Europeans.
No.
No, Pharaoh said to his people, which means this is not a decree out loud to everybody.
Yeah.
He's talking. Now what? They all living in Egypt, right? But the Pharaoh is making a distinction between the Hebrews and the rest of the people living in Egypt. Just like here, I keep trying to tell people, you want to blend into this society so bad, not knowing that the founding fathers here made a distinction in writing between you and them. And when they got ready to deal with them, they spoke to each other about how they was going to do it. When they got ready to deal with us, they did the same thing. It's right here. I'm trying to show you. Ain't nothing changed. He says, he spoke to his people and said, behold, the people of the children of who? Israel has always been the focus. He's not talking about nobody else. Now, if you read the actual Genesis account, you will discover that all of the known world sold themselves into Egypt. First they sold all their goods, then they ended up selling Egypt all their land, and as the famine increased, they eventually sold themselves.
Right.
That means you had Philistines, that means you had Amorites, you had Amalekites, you had the Jebusites. Everybody at this time was owned pretty much by Egypt. But this Pharaoh is picking out one group that seems to always excel. It seems to always multiply faster, stronger, bigger, faster. You know what I'm saying? And they see that, and it threatens them. People keep asking, what's wrong with us here? What's going on in America? Why don't they just leave us alone? You are a walking threat. That's why you can get shot and the person that shoots you can get off. Let me help you, Zion. There is a law in this country that if a person feels threatened, they have a right to defend themselves to the point of stopping the threat. It's a law in the books. It's taught. So that even if someone provokes you, Zion, and you turn around and say, I'm not taking it no more, and they feel scared that you're about to kill them, they can shoot you and get off. That's why Zimmerman got off. He didn't get off because he was a good guy, or he paid somebody off, or he had the good lawyers. That's not why he got off. He got off because the law in this land is, if you feel threatened at any time, you can stop the threat. So even though he caused it, when the brother turned around and fought back and was about to hit him and send him to probably the gates of hell, he felt at that point he wasn't going to stop, and he shot the guy and killed him and got off because it's the law. He didn't break the law. He used the law. The brother, and I'm going to put a list up in a second, hopefully get it in. There was a brother who walked over to a car in a road rage incident. And the white guy that was in, and I should say I think he was white, but I don't want to use the word white. The ex-police that was off duty, going home, when the brother got out the car and approached the car, the cop just shot him, boom, boom. Once in the chest, once in the head. Killed him instantly. And everybody say, well, it's on videotape. It doesn't matter. He's going to get off. And the reason he's going to get off is because the law in the nation is when you feel threatened, you can get rid of the threat. That is the law. So now watch this. When I went to go get my CCW, they showed us videos of a mad guy walking up to a person's car, hitting on the car. And they stopped the video and they said, now, can this person, in this situation, what can they do? Can this person shoot that guy? And the answer was yes. And that's why. Because you're in a car. You're locked in. You don't know if he has a gun. You don't know if he has a bomb, a grenade, a knife. You don't know anything. You just see somebody approaching your car who can kill you, so you have a right, this is what they tell you, to stop the threat. The guy's gonna get off. Now, why is it that you're so threatened? Can I put this out there worldwide? Imagine if you held a people in slavery who multiplied faster, who were stronger, who were faster, could jump higher, could work harder. And you knew mano a mano That's man on man. You can't handle them. But as long as you got them guns and shotguns, you can make them work in the field all day. You can sit on the porch and drink lemonade and point them double-barrel shotguns at them, and you're going to keep them out there. But what happens when you set them free? What is your greatest fear? Is that after 400 years, they're going to all come together and get revenge on you for what you've done to them and their fathers and their forefathers and all that. So the law is really put in place to stop you from attacking them once you were set free. Because it started out as a runaway slave issue law, and then it just morphed into being a threat law. It's called now stand your ground. Now why did I do that? Because what we see here is the same exact threat in Exodus. That's why I'm saying that. They are afraid of one major thing. He told his people, look, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. You know what's strange? Israel didn't know that. Israel didn't know that the guy was sitting there scared to death of him and watching him multiply and watching how many bricks they could carry, and they having contests, and you know how Israel is. One guy got 10 bricks stacked high, another guy got 15, 20 bricks. They like, man, these Hebrews, these Israelites got some unusual strength. Wait a minute, all 12 tribes, including Ephraim and Manasseh, they're all extraordinary. And they're mightier than I. Now watch this. And keep reading the book. It says, come on. Y'all, come on. Listen to that word. Come on. Let us deal wisely. Let us deal wisely. Let's look at that word in the Hebrew. It's the word chacham. Chacham. Right? It's a verb. And of course, it means to be wise. But let's look at it in its context. Let's not just look at it let's look at it in its context. In the Hafel, in the imperfect, in Exodus 1:10, and that's where we are right now. Even in a Strong's, which is a very elementary dictionary, by the way, it's not really a dictionary, it's really a concordance, but they will give you some words. Even here, they tell you that the idea here is
Shrewdly.
there it is.
Yeah.
Let us deal shrewdly.
Toward these people.
So shrewdly towards the people is different than just wise.
Right.
It's we got to figure out a way without telling them
Be slick.
to be slick, to be sneaky. We got to stop the threat. We're going to have to do something with these people. Now, this is the thing I was sharing with El Voice earlier, as well as Hula. We talked about this. I said, this is what I got to put out worldwide, because I want people to see what was really going on, and I want them to see what is going on right now. Lest they, talk back,
Right.
multiply, verse 10.
Multiply.
Let's deal shrewdly with them. Let's come up with a evil, sneaky plan.
Lest they multiply.
Lest they multiply,
And it comes to pass.
and it come to pass, come on.
That when there falleth out any war.
Okay, this is what he's saying. We need to do something now, just in case we end up in a war with another nation.
Right. And they were always at war with the Hittites.
Right, whoever is the big dog, right, is going to be in battle or always struggling with you know, that's just the nature of the beast, is that if you on top, always somebody trying to knock you off.
You know, right.
So here's their issue. They said that when there falleth out of war, not if, when.
Right, they knew they were going to go to war.
He says, they, watch it now, join also unto our enemies.
In fact,
Now y'all need to really underline that line because that's the key. They're not so much afraid of just Israel, just being Israel. He's saying, but if we get in a fight as a nation and Israel join with our enemy, now here's the kicker. Don't you miss this. He says, they'll fight against us. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
They'll join our enemy and fight us.
Mm-hmm.
And what will they do? And so, now watch the line. It does not say, and they'll take over Egypt.
Well, they're not worried about
Or they'll
that.
become the king. Or they'll rule the world. They didn't say none of that. They said, they'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get out the land. They knew that Israel leaving Egypt meant the end of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
They knew it is the end of their superpower status. Israel leave, it's over.
Yeah.
That explains why the Pharaoh changed his mind and went after them after they had left. He
Man,
wanted them back.
but I want you to see, I want you to really let that sink in, Zion. The fear was not Israel taking over Egypt. The fear was Israel leaving Egypt. And can I say this? America got the same fear. The fear, and I'm not talking about the average person walking around. I'm talking about the people who are having the conversation. They say, now that America is spread all over the world trying to be the world police, what happens if we end up in another war and all these Hebrew Israelites that we still have in this nation to this very day, what if they join with our enemy, fight against us, and leave here? What are we left with? Because if they leave, you know, ain't no more Steph Curry.
Yeah.
If they leave, LeBron James going.
Who's gonna sing for us?
If they leave, ain't no more singing.
No, not Beyonce.
Yeah.
Ain't no more Beyonces and ain't no more Patti LaBelle's.
I think a lot of them will want to stay here.
No, that's not my issue.
Right.
My issue tonight is not what they will or won't do.
Oh, I
I'm talking about what the powers that be fear.
I know and understand.
I'm not dealing with the average person or what we will do. I'm just saying that the powers that be have a fear that we will at one point join the enemy and leave. Then what happens? The 7th largest world economy just left your shore. And wherever we go, if we ever went as a nation, it's going to automatically become the #1 nation in the world. It's just what happens. So we are, it's what we do. We build nations. Ain't nobody going to watch no other sport. Let's say if we go to Nigeria, I'm talking about all of us, not just one or two. If we all go to Nigeria,
It's a superpower.
we want to become the superpower. I'm not talking about necessarily with guns, but who's going to beat us in soccer when all the real Hebrew soccer players are in one place? Because you do know Germany got Hebrew soccer players, but they wouldn't be no good. England is Hebrew soccer
I
player.
know Spain.
France and Spain. Listen, whenever you see anybody black, I hate to use that term, but y'all know what I mean by that. When you see a brother with nappy hair playing for a white nation, he's a Hebrew. He got taken over there in slavery, or he got drafted over there. Imagine they all get together and decide, no, we playing for our own country.
No, but what I was trying to point out is that's why y'all had to set it up so that they all leave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you do know once they left, which is a whole nother story, many of them wanted to go back.
Right.
But my point is, the powers that be know if we leave, it's over.
I got that.
Can you imagine Hollywood?
All the prestige.
No brothers, no sisters. Can you imagine going to concerts, musical concerts? No brothers. Dance recitals, no brothers.
NFL.
NFL, no brothers.
Boxing.
Boxing, baseball, basketball, because you know all of those brothers that's playing baseball now, just because they're from an island, that don't mean they're not the Hebrew. They're still same people.
Yeah.
We got dropped off second. They got dropped off first. Same family, same slave port, same nation.
The Olympics
We
are third.
all, yeah, ain't no more Olympics. What are you talking about?
Done.
It's over. It's over. And watch this. You don't even know how many field workers that's growing the food here. They keep talking about it's the Mexican people joining the food just from Mexico. You don't know how many of them are actually from Hebrew Israelite descent. They like this. I'm out of here too.
Right.
Why? Everybody wants to be.
They be part of the mixed multitude.
They're gonna be. That's what I'm trying to get to. You see that it ain't. They said we got a real serious problem
There's a lot
here.
of people here that would want to leave too.
And so, what are you gonna do? What about the natives who see all the brothers leaving? What about all the Europeans that have been like, if they going, we going?
I'm his
Because you're always gonna have what? You're always gonna have.
my money.
You're gonna have always the friends of Israel.
Right.
They're gonna follow Israel wherever they go. Why? They're friends.
Yeah.
So you see that this is a very real situation.
So it might be a fifth of the economy, or not just the seventh. It might be a
Man,
fifth or-
it ain't no telling. The leadership has already seen this. So what did they decide to do?
Oh, work from death.
Now watch it now. Verse 11. Therefore did they set over them taskmasters to do what?
Afflict them.
With what?
Their
Their
burden.
burdens.
Taskmasters work for Pharaoh.
Can you go ahead and pull that up, Taskmaster?
Oh, I thought I was on here. Oh yeah, let me keep going. I'm trying to work the Bible and I should just be using the internet here, so let me do that.
Okay. I gotta go get some rest.
Okay, all right, but you didn't have to tell the whole world that. You could have just got up and walked out. I'm always messing with Air Force. That's my buddy. So they put taskmasters over them. And you see the word mission? And of course, of labor. These guys were evil. They were so evil that one day Moshe, who we find out later in this book, is from the tribe of Levi, sees one of them just killing a brother. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And Moshe's like, okay, this ain't cool. So he goes over and just kills him. Now you do know Moshe is a Hebrew Israelite, right? From the tribe of Levi. So he's big, he's strong, he can fight. There's no contest between him and the Hamite. He kills the Hamite like that. Bury him in the sand. Matter of fact, when Moshe goes into the wilderness, and I think
The daughter.
I kind of think of the group of people who came at the water hole.
Fought them all.
There was about 4 or 5 of them fellas come down and mess with them girls. Man, one man, Moshe, who was at that time parched. He was trying to get him a little drink of water himself. Ended up whooping all them first, and then going ahead and getting a drink. My point is, the Hebrews were bigger, they were stronger, they were faster. Come on, we talking about the Mike Tysons of the world. We're talking about the Lennox Lewises of the world. We're talking about the what's my boy that back in the day, Muhammad Ali back in his prime, the Joe Frazier's, the George Foreman's, the folk who you can't whoop, the folk that every nation in the world has tried to put their best against, and it ain't no competition. The only time is a competition is when a Hebrew fight another Hebrew.
Right. When the Hebrew gets too old and keep on fighting.
Right, but even then it takes another Hebrew. Very seldom. There's a non-Hebrew.
Cheat.
Or they cheat.
Or, yeah, but it's very seldom. My point is this, man. It is who we are. It ain't putting down nobody. It's identifying. My whole point of tonight's lesson is to identify. Name the people. See what they did. They said, come on, let's do something. So they made them do what? And they built Pharaoh cities. Treasure cities. these men they were put under heavy labor, and through all that work, they ended up building treasure cities. That means very valuable cities. And they name them Pithom and Ramses. But the more, ooh,
My goodness.
That one got me right there.
But the more they afflicted them. In other words, they weren't grateful after they got the cities. After they built all that. They didn't say, hey man, we love you for that. Here in this nation, are they grateful that they are receiving billions of dollars on the interest of the money that they made off our backs in those cotton fields, in those warehouses, in those working that industries? No, they're not happy that we built the cities, built the White House, built downtown, built the mansions,
Wall Street.
built Wall Street,
Made traffic lights.
made a traffic light, did electricity, came up with the cotton gin,
Heart surgery.
came up with brake, came up with the refrigeration to travel, heart surgery, brain surgery, blood transplant. Do you think they would be grateful and be, oh no. We make them billions of dollars in music, billions of dollars in dance. We gave them jazz, we gave them blues, we gave them gospel. It's used in every type of commerce to sell everything from cell phones
Give him rock and roll.
to light. Gave them rock and roll.
Gave him Elvis.
Come on, man. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. They should be grateful and say, man, the best thing we could have ever done. So, hey, but that's not the attitude. The attitude is, let's afflict them more. And so the more they afflict, the record said right here, the more they multiplied and grew. That happened here in America. One generation above me, which is my daddy and my grandpa, right? In my grandfather's day, the average home had 8 to 12 kids. Let that sink in. In my grandfather's day, everybody had 8 to 12 children. Some had 16 to 18 children. So what did Pharaoh do? He says,
He legalized abortion.
and the Egyptian made the children of Israel serve with rigor. Verse 14, made their lives bitter. That's what happened to us, right? Serve with rigor, make our lives bitter with hard bondage. In mortar, we built all the great buildings in America, the great plantations everybody want to go to, all those city buildings downtown. That was our labor. And brick, and in all manner of service in the field. Did we do everything in the field? And in all manner of service in the fields, we did it. It's the same. And all service wherein they made them to serve. In other words, we wasn't just in the cotton field. I heard they would take the babies and and the slave master would take his feet and put it on the babies, black babies, Hebrew babies, as foot warmers. And then go get the little girls as bed warmers. Y'all ain't with me. I said any type of service with rigor. And the king of Egypt spoken to the Hebrew midwives, and here's the names, was Shiphrah and the other name Puah. Verse 16. And this is what he said. When you do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew woman and see him on the stools, if it be a, talk back,
Son.
you shall.
Kill.
Kill him.
Is it right there?
Yeah.
Kill the boy. And if it's a woman, do what? If it's a girl, what? Let her live. Let her live. So you already see it's an attack, right? Against the Hebrew boy, the Hebrew man, the Hebrew man child. Kill him. Do you know why our population went from every family, because in my family is 7. Well, really 8, we adopted 1. But in my family is 7. You know why it went from 7 to 1 or 7 to 2? Birth control and abortion.
Right, I know.
They said, let's kill them. We got to stop this.
Screaming that for years.
Let's kill them. Guess what's going on in these major cities? When they tested it first. They took rats. I'm telling you the truth. And they would take, say, like a cage, say like the size of this table. And they put 2 rats in the cage and they would feed the rats and they never bothered each other. They'd add another one and they put them the same amount of food, a little bit, and they kept doing it until they pack them in. And once they get them packed in, they noticed that they would start killing and eating each other. When they had space, they were fine. When they got crowded. Right now, I just heard the latest term for the projects. They called it a trap. Yeah, they live over in a trap. It comes from the idea of a mousetrap. The idea is from the test that they did on the rats. And that's where these major killings are going on. Because they already know you can't shove that many humans in one project without them eventually turning on each other.
Particularly if you throw some dope in behind it.
And yeah. Okay. So there's a mass killing going on here. And of course these wives, they don't do it. And what ends up happening, they feared Yah. And they let them live. And the king of Egypt called the midwives and said, why you let them live? And then they said, because they're having the babies too fast. By the time we get there, it'll pop that little Hebrew out. Don't that sound like them? And the book says that Yah blessed the midwives for saving the Hebrew children alive and not killing them and let them have houses. But Pharaoh was mad. I'm going to show you that. I'm trying to show you where it says, there it is. I skipped it. I missed it. Go to 22. Right. I want to show you what happened. The last verse of chapter 1 says, it says, Pharaoh charged all who?
His people.
It's right there. I ain't got to make nothing up. Saying what?
Every son that is born,
Do what?
you shall cast into the river.
Feed him to the crocodiles, the alligators, drowning. Do you know in America,
They did that.
they fed the babies to alligators and crocodiles?
Yep. As a show.
Yes. Do y'all understand? Now, go to Deuteronomy, chapter 28. So you got Exodus, go Numbers, Deuteronomy. Just go, that's what? 3 books over. Exodus, Numbers. Go Deuteronomy and go to Numbers 28. Deuteronomy 28. And it says, and Yahuwah, shall bring thee into Egypt, Mitzrayim, what? Again.
With ships.
But this time, go on ships. They hadn't even made it to the promised land. They were walking to the land of Canaan. This prophecy would make no sense if it was about getting on a ship, an actual sailing ship, and going back to a land they walked out of. You don't sail across dirt.
Right.
You don't sail across sand. You sail across water. So I'm trying to help Israel worldwide. And what I'm trying to help them see is this. In these last days, and don't get me wrong when I say this. Listen to what I'm saying. The only way they got out of Egypt is that they called on Yah. And Yah heard their oppression and sent a deliverer. In our case, there will be no human to get us out. Well, not like we think.
I know what you're going.
Only our Hamashiach.
That's
But he has already stipulated that he won't get us until we call his name.
Right.
And this going on worldwide, so I'm going to try to help some people. His name ain't Jesus. He's not white Jesus. He's not blue-eyed, blonde hair.
Caesar both.
Feminine.
He's a Hebrew. And watch his name. It's not Jesus. It's Yehoshua. Didn't you hear all the other names? Now his name, Yehoshua. Yehoshua. We're waiting on Yehoshua of the tribe of Yehudah to come and get us. The heathen knows, because he reads his Bible more than you, that based on prophecy, after 400 years, we're going back to the land. So he sees the day of our exit approaching. So what does he do? Have a conference. We have to come up with a scheme to keep them here.
Change your language.
Well, what can we do? Well, let's make sure they never call him their Elohim.
That's the name.
Well, what's his name? Yahuwah. Okay, well, change his name then. What are we going to say? Just put the Lord or something. Okay. So now we got everybody calling him, Lord, 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 and don't even know that the word Lord is the word Baal, Baal, B-A-A-L. Look it up. The word Lord comes from Baal, Baal. We don't call, in Jeremiah he says, don't call me no more Baal. I'm Yahuwah. Then they said, there's only one name given under heaven among men whereby we must be saved. And then if you read it, it will say, and that's the name Yeshua. Because salvation and Yeshua is the same name.
Right.
So what are we going to do about that? We'll change that name too. Well, what about if they start looking in the books of the Bible, all them Hebrew names, change those names too. Well, you know, they've got names. Change their names. And that way they'll never be able to call on their Elohim.
Teach them what the preach.
But what about what about their sermons? What about the preacher? Okay, we're going to only give them a few verses. And we'll make sure that nobody will think he's legit unless he graduates from one of our schools. And we'll make sure that when he comes to our school, we will get rid of anything in his mind that would even remotely make him think that Yehoshua is a Hebrew Israelite with nappy hair and black skin. Because can you imagine this? Can you imagine walking in to every church in America and it's a brother with a fro and a beard and eyes like fire and the color of burnt brass hanging up in every church instead of this white European in every church? Can you imagine what that would do to the psyche of the people? They know, we don't know. They know. So what they did was they gave a picture of Caesar Borgia, a Roman Catholic, not a Hebrew Israelite. So guess what? All your books, when you open a book and see a picture of Yeshua, he's never the Hebrew with nappy hair, dreadlocks, like lamb's wool, never the color of brass, which is our color, never. Can you imagine going to the South and every single church, I'm talking about every Southern Baptist church, every Methodist church, every Catholic church, having a picture of a black Messiah? Can you imagine that? What would happen? First of all, most of them would quit church. It'd be over right then. But second of all, what would that do to the psyche of the Hebrew Israelite. Walking in, seeing a Savior that looks just like them. So we got to change the color of him too. And I can go on and on and on. Now, that was the longest introduction I've ever given in my life to get to this discussion. So why do you think they're doing this to us now? Why do you think all of a sudden with all this social media, everybody knowing that everything you're doing is being recorded, why do you think they're still doing it?
Well, it's part of the last days, because there'll be more antichrist, be more intensification. And as people start waking up, the pushback is going to actually increase. That's always the case.
Anybody else?
The general idea is that they already pre-planned the media stuff. They already know that they have full control. So in order to, kind of like El Voice said, in order to maintain that control, they're pushing more agendas out there to cause confusion. So they'll tell you that you were slaves.
Yeah,
they'll tell you, yeah, you used to be slaves, but look at Obama. Look, you'll be fine. Don't worry about that. They'll throw out confusion on you.
They're doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Psalms 83:3.
Tell us.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Come, let's cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That the name of Israel be no more in remembrance.
But also there's another psalm saying that won't work.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just,
I know.
yeah, that's the reason why.
I know. No, I'm always a jump ahead. I've been
Because
that
if you don't
way.
know who Savior to call on, then you're going to continue to stay in the
Right.
conditions you're in.
The issue is this. By using social media,
No, I agree.
by using social media, it gives them the opportunity to reinforce your subhuman, if you please, existence in their country. Even though it looks terrible, it still reinforces who's the boss
Oh yeah.
and who's the slave. Who's the master and who's the slave? Even though you might not like the master, that's not the issue. The issue is every time they show the powers that be doing it, it reinforces in the mind. That's why the best we could do is let's march.
No. This is
Somebody,
this,
you like, well, let me sit down.
That's why-
Somebody else got shot. Let's march.
That's why in the last 10 years, they made 7 major movies
So,
all
yeah.
over slavery.
Then they say, okay, so and so got shot. Let's march. Sit down. Oh, they got girls. Let's march. So every weekend, right? They programmed you like a dog. It's a psychological program to where you always will reinforce your subservient position by having to go to them in some type of begging way and ask for mercy.
Yeah.
See, the Hebrew Israelite is hip to it though. But they use the preachers. I got a good friend of mine who unfortunately is caught up in this. He led a march here in town not too long ago with other pastors. Now I on the Shabbat, y'all remember, told not one person from our congregation, don't you go out there. It's a trap. It's a trick. I said, you don't accomplish things in this nation by just walking. No, I said it's a trap. And then Jerry Dyer got on television and told the world, we got pictures of every single person that was walking. They didn't pull the right permits. We told them that they couldn't be in the street. And we got their pictures on the cell phone and social media. It cost us $15,000 to get extra police, and every single one of them is going to get cited. It might not be today, but believe me, they will all be cited. Now see, the true preacher, leader, prophet, now I don't mean prophet like Sue's saying, me here, I'm telling my people the key is Torah, this Bible. Getting together and deciding how we're going to keep Yah's laws. But the hireling is saying, because he's still caught up in that dog whistle mentality that when things happen, this is your reaction. You start walking.
You gotta do something.
Go walk. Now start singing. We shall. You know what? They don't even know that's not the words to that song. The original song is "We Shall Be Like Him."
Uh-huh. All right. That's pretty good to know.
We shall be like Him.
Uh-huh. But take a look at this because...
Hold on, let me finish this thought. That lyric was written by a Hebrew Israelite who wanted the world to know that we're the true Hebrew Israelites. And they changed the lyrics to "We shall overcome." But it was "We shall be like Him." We should be like who? Like our Hamashiach. He's coming to get us. Now, you know the why. You know the Bible has told us what's going on. Now the solution of the problem is, I heard the guy say, "Oh, what are we gonna do? Somebody help us." I heard somebody say, we need help. We need help. Somebody help us. Oh, please, Jesus, please, Jesus, help us. And I'm sitting here in the car, tears running down my face, and I'm like, He ain't coming.
Who ain't coming?
Jesus ain't coming. There ain't no such thing as Jesus.
Oh, you mean with the name He's called it?
Right.
And the
White Jesus
image that he has.
with blue hair, blue eyes, blonde hair, European, ain't coming to save you from the European. He's the same as Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny. He's the same as you rubbing a rabbit's foot. Your Savior is Yahushua. And Yahushua and this Jesus that they're giving you is two different people. One of them is European. The other one is Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah. One says you don't have to keep any of my Father's commandments. One says you got to keep all of my Father's commandments. One says all you got to do is love. The other one says if you love me, you got to keep my commandments. One says I just love everybody and everything's going to be all right. The other one says bring my enemies so that I can kill them at my feet. So you're going to have to decide which one you're going to pray to. I'm only going to pray to the Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Yehuda, who's the lion, and that is Yahushua. Did y'all catch what I just said?
Yes.
Why? Because he's going to send a deliverer, but this time it's going to be him. This is our 7th slavery. This is it, baby. Ain't no more. It's the number of completion. We're not leaving here going to a different slavery. When we leave here, we're going home. And America is done once we get out of here. Now, when I say done, they're not done just because we're leaving. They're done because they've broken the laws of the Most High.
Right themselves.
They're done because this country is dividing right now in half between the so-called conservatives and liberals or whatever. But nevertheless, we're out of here.
That'll be a tipping point.
Now, here's what is their fear. Don't you know they watch YouTube too?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know that they watch social media? They know we talking about going back to Israel. You think that you can't hide that? Man, there's 8 million hits when you type in Hebrew Israelite. 8 million sites gonna pop up talking about who the true Hebrew Israelites are. They know it. They like, oh my goodness, prophecy is coming. So what we gonna do? Let's hold them down best we can.
Slander, hate group.
Or let's just kill them all. Race war. I'm sorry, I cut you off early. Go ahead.
You said what I was going to go.
Oh,
That's where I was going to go.
Okay. Now this was a long lesson, but as I said, it wasn't something I was able to really sit down and organize like I normally do because it just happened. Number one, Israel, worldwide, listen to me. Stay out the middle of the street. This ain't no time to be running around talking about put your hands up. This is a time to come together on the Shabbat and teach the people how to call on their Elohim, to ask Yah to protect you from the rage of the enemy, and to help you keep his laws, statutes, and commandments so that you will be counted worthy to enter into the kingdom. So that we can see the miracles and signs and wonders that he has planned for us in order to deliver us. Because you're not going to do it through walking. You're not going to do it through singing. I mean, it's not funny because, I mean, I know you're doing it sincere, but that ain't the answer.
It's never been the answer.
It's sort of more cold-blooded than that. The purpose of these demonstrations, like the purpose of the civil rights, and the real leadership made no bones about it, was to provoke people into attacking the demonstrators. And that's why I never would participate in any of them back in the 50s and 60s when I realized that's what their goal was. Because that's how they got on TV. The pictures of the dogs attacking the demonstrators, the water hoses on the temper. And in fact, the Selma March is what got me active. When I saw what they did to those people who walked across the bridge, you know, with baseball bats, beating them up, riding them over with horses. That provoked me into getting into the movement. But that's the whole idea of a demonstration. If there's no violent reaction to the demonstrators, they haven't achieved their purpose.
But my point is, what's the purpose anyway?
That is not their purpose. They're not thinking that. They're dupes.
Right, that's my point. That's my point. Walking don't do nothing.
Right. If nothing happens, it just makes you tired.
Yeah.
But Hebrews and people who, the remnant, understand that. The remnant get it. That's not how you accomplish things in this country.
But it's as if they're using the part where, you know, the Hebrew Israelites were just wandering for 40 years, right? They're taking that part and making them wander in terms of these walks because they have no leader. Their leader is supposed to be Yah, but they don't have him, so they're just wandering in the streets. And the rest of the world's like, what are these fools doing?
We haven't even acknowledged that we're a nation yet. Because every black person still thinks they're just, I'm using the word black and y'all know I don't like that term. But we still act like we're all just individuals. We haven't even discovered a national identity yet.
Well, that's 10:28. That's 28:28. Deuteronomy 28:28. I don't think you talked about that. You, Marika, Jazz. I started the first two, and then when you left, you guys kept talking about. There's three things to where we can get back. Number one, study the Torah, remember? And start following the rules of the Torah, which includes dietary laws, worshiping on the Sabbath. What's the other thing?
Celebrating the holy days.
Yeah, the feast. And agriculture, where we get off of this living in the rat cage. We can't get each other out of those things. You know, I've tried. You know what I mean? But those three things we do, and then and then call upon Yeshua, and that's when it occurred. But he's not going to take us when we got a lunchbox full of ham sandwiches. I mean, you know, he's not going to come back.
That's true.
Not doing it.
Well, he's gonna come back if he got some ham sandwiches. You're gonna be slaughtered.
Yeah,
Right.
Though.
But that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back as long as 90% of us is eating all the pork we can get.
Right.
See, that's one of the things that I was thinking about today. When you have the Christian, so-called Christian church with all these leaders who for the most part think they're all little kings anyway, in their own little kingdom.
Right.
But when you have them being controlled by powers that be, that are still telling people they don't have to follow this book,
And they are controlled by these powers.
then you automatically know there's going to be no hope, because the only hope for us is to turn. I heard this one guy, he was crying. He said, "We've tried everything. Nothing's working. We've tried everything." I said, and I'm you know me, I'm yelling because I wish the world could hear me. I'm saying, you haven't tried everything. You haven't tried going back to this book.
That's when the tears dry up. They go, oh, I can't do that.
Right, then they go, yeah, wait a minute, hold on.
I'm not.
We're not getting ready to follow that now. But this is what you haven't tried. As a nation of people, you haven't tried this book. You won't try it.
But what's that? What's that reframe now that all of them here? All of them. We're no longer under the law. I didn't hear that when I was a kid. Of course, I'm 74 years old, so that was a long
It was
time ago.
ingrained in me.
But that only came.
It was what?
Ingrained.
We're not under the law.
Right.
How's that even possible?
Well, I think what
that's what
Yeshua
they teach.
said, if you're not under the law, you're not under me.
Of course not. How can he tell you to do anything if there's no law? How can he even say, follow me? You can say, that's a law. I'm not following you.
That's true. And then when you add it to it, all you have to follow is the Holy Spirit, which is your feelings.
So what is the Spirit? Is it just however I feel at the moment? Or is there actually words and laws and commandments that the Ruach HaKodesh really leads us into? The truth of the word of Yah is what he says. It leads us into, guide us into truth, which is his word. So my point is, brethren, if we want to see the relief, then we've got to get back to Torah.
That's true.
Now, it's unfortunate. Some people just ain't never coming back.
But
The
there's a
remnant.
So if 1/3 of us,
And there's only 1/10 of the 1/3 that probably will make it in the kingdom. Y'all got any more questions or comments before we shut this thing down?
I'll be here all day.
I'm telling you, we gotta shut it down. But we could do this all night. You know
yeah,
that,
we can.
because the parallels are too close. The schemes, the conditions, the crying, the killing, and now, of course, it's almost as though the king's men, the police departments, they work for the government that works for the ultimately reaches the president. You cannot be given the right of being judge, jury, and executioner just because you have a badge. You have to capture the person and bring them in for what's called due process. When you say, I'm not even going to talk to this guy, I'm going to send the robot in and just blow him up. And whether or not he actually shot him or not, we're not going to never know. Whether or not he had a partner helping him shoot, whether or not it was 10 shooters, we're not going to know nothing, because we are going to be judge, jury, and executioner. Whenever that is happening and it's allowed to go on, brethren, we better look to our Hamashiach, because it means that the Bible is true when it says, and your life will be in the balance. Let me find that verse in Deuteronomy 16.
Weary in the morning and weary at night.
Right.
Longing, man. What the precedents.
I think it's ENC. What's one in? Verse. Deuteronomy
28.
it's in
66.
It's what verse?
Verse 66.
Deuteronomy 28:66.
Yes.
Read it.
And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee,
There it is.
and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt not have none assurance of thy life.
No assurance for your life. That was, and what verse was it?
It
Deuteronomy
continues.
28:66.
In the morning thou shalt say,
66.
if only it were evening. And at evening thou shalt say, if only it were morning. For the fear of thy heart, where thou shalt fear, for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
It's going to be so terrible. It's going to put us in this vibe right now. Instead of me doing my normal Bible study, we just going to be sitting here in awe, like, what in the world are we watching? Did we really just watch a guy on camera choke a dude out in the back of a car? Did we just watch a little kid get shot in less than 2 seconds? Did we just watch a man get his arm shot off, bleed to death in front of his girlfriend and the baby? Did we really just watch a woman stand in front of... Did we really just watch bulldozers and cars and tanks and army? drive down the middle of the street and shoot at human civilians? Did we really just watch a robot roll up in a room and blow up? Yeah, it'll put us in a weird place like, whoa. But know one thing. When Egypt started doing this to us the first time in Egypt, it meant Exodus was close. They didn't know it. The Hebrews that were crying out didn't know it, but Yah knew it.
In fact, y'all used that order to set up the leader. Because instead of throwing it in the river, they put him in the river and floated down.
Oh, good point. Yah used the order
Of the
to produce the leader, or to save the leader, Moshe, who would then grow up in Pharaoh's own house and then deliver.
Got the first way they
So the very thing that they're doing to us, Yah is setting up something. I'm trying to tell you.
I believe that.
Yeshua is about to come get us.
But he has to get us right first. And he will.
But
I
like
mean,
you
it
were mentioning
says-
earlier, which I didn't want to go on that trail, the unfortunate reality is some ain't going.
Yeah.
I've heard people tell me I'm not going anywhere.
Well, you're a Moreh. You should pray like Moses and like Paul. Why don't you sacrifice your soul to save all the rest of
I done put this out worldwide. Some of you stiff-necked Hebrews. The best I can do is keep putting these videos
He
out.
said it was distinct with Moses. He said he was one of the kindest ones.
Yeah, on the world, man. Hey, he way out in front of me, man. Both of them brothers.
That ain't me.
Them brothers, man, said, I wish I could be cursed so that my brethren could make it in. Now, I will say this. I'll go through a little persecution for my brethren, but hey, I can't go in the hellfire flames for them.
I'm not talking about life. Man.
I'll walk them right to the edge. And when they say, "Are you gonna come on with me?" I'm gonna say, "No, I just thought I'd come
I'm
with you."
just trying to talk you out of it.
I was trying to talk you out of it until this last step. But now I'm going back. No, I'm serious about that. I'm not doing that. No, the reason is because of this. Because of this, right? Some people okay, now I'm rambling, and this is on film.
Okay, that's good.
I've already dealt with this in my heart. I say, yeah, what about the people who don't know your name? He said, they ain't no excuse. Everybody know your name. I said, how's that? He said, you by yourself.
Romans.
You got 30 Bibles in here.
Right.
Every single one of them's got an introduction. Every single one of them's got it. Even the most.
Right. But this is what I'm
King James
talking
version.
Right. Everybody's Bible has it in the intro. But this is what he told me. He said, you just one person. You've got a cumulative over 100,000 views. Just you telling the world that they're Hebrew, Yah, his father's name is Yah, his son Yeshua, and blah blah. Just you. So I got brothers right now that are preaching to millions of people every day, telling them his name is Yah. Yeshua. You just type it in to your computer. You can look. In other words, Yah is making it to where it will be without excuse. Now, they might say this. Well, we didn't want to hear him. Why didn't somebody else tell us? Oh, that ain't gonna fly.
But you know, like you said, there ain't gonna be no excuse because people that's waking up, we are saying it like you were saying it on camera. We go in our circles of people that say the Christian, be like, oh man, Yah's his real name, Yahushua. So they now have heard. So what they do with that, it comes on them.
Exactly. Let me tell you something. You can't go nowhere in America where it ain't some Hebrew telling the world what his real name is.
But I think somebody's always argued that. What about the places that don't have anything? And I always refer them back to Romans 1 verse 19, where it says, because that which may be known of Elohim is manifested in them, for Elohim had showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and his majesty, so that they are without excuse.
That's right.
So
you ain't got no excuse.
I know.
And they talk on that, and correct me if I'm wrong on camera.
Okay.
But isn't it for the children of Yah to understand who his name is, not everybody?
True. That's why I got a good friend. He said all the time, the remnant will get it.
Right.
The remnant gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
The people that's supposed to get it is gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody will get a chance to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But the remnant's gonna get it.
And some of them will reject it.
But someone will say,
I think
look at
that's
us.
good.
I've said this a million times. I was pastoring 21 years. Majored in theology, graduated top of my class. That ain't no bragging thing. I got the degree in a box getting spider webs, and I think the glass is broken now because I don't even, I don't, that's all that Christian stuff. I got boxes of awards. When I say boxes, I'm not talking about one or two. So many I didn't even want to pull them out. I was going to just throw them in the garbage. Now I got talked out of it and said, well, at least let the kids know you was, they can see your transition.
Look at all the
Here's
tapes,
my point.
All the tapes you got.
I got 3,500 cassette tapes out there, as well as about 1,500 videotapes of teaching tapes. And all that time, I was not understanding things from a Hebrew perspective.
Oh, you was understanding part of it. You was understanding no Christmas, no.
No, I never did believe in the holidays and all
No
that kind of
holidays.
stuff and eating pigs and all that kind of stuff. But my point is, I didn't see it from a Hebrew perspective. I saw it from a Greek perspective.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
Yah opened my eyes. That's all I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
He showed me. He said, hey, man, this thing is about the Hebrew people. What are you doing? You're a Hebrew. And everybody who is in the family is also Hebrew. I read to you already that we've got Simeon who married Canaanite, right? And we had Yosef who married a Hamite. So it's been a mixed multitude from the beginning.
Yeah.
All right, you all have been kind. We've been longer than ever, but I just think I wanted to put out a word of encouragement going worldwide to Israel. As you ask these questions, I hope I've answered. I hope we have answered some of those questions to let you know that our redemption is nigh. Keep looking up. King Yoshiyahu HaMashiach is on his way back. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Long live the King. Shalom.
Shalom is the king.
Get